The city had been dead for weeks, but it still breathed at night. Every broken window whispered when the wind shifted. Every rusted sign swung like a pendulum, counting down to something unseen. Lieutenant Aria Novak lay prone on the rooftop of a shattered textile mill, cheek pressed against the cool steel of her rifle. The world through her scope was quiet. Too quiet. A mile away, a convoy crawled through the valley. 6 vehicles, lights off, moving in a slow, deliberate line. She didn't blink, didn't move, didn't breathe. Her spotter, Sergeant Cole, crouched behind her, scanning his rangefinder. Still nothing. "You sure this is the place?" Aria's voice was barely a whisper. "They're watching us already." Cole frowned. "How can you tell?" "Because I would be." She shifted a fraction, aligning the crosshairs toward a burned-out mosque on the far ridge. There. A flicker. Not movement. Not light. A reflection. Almost invisible. Like glass breathing in the wind. Her finger found the trigger's first pressure point. The rifle cracked once. The reflection vanished. Cole lowered his binoculars. "You just guessed?" Aria didn't answer. She was already scanning for the second. For the soldiers of Task Force Harlow, Aria Novak was a rumor wrapped in desert dust. No one really knew when she'd arrived or who she'd replaced. Her personnel file was half redacted, and her call sign, Ghostline, said everything about the way she worked. She didn't sleep in the barracks. Didn't eat with the others. She spent her nights on rooftops. Rooftops no one else dared to occupy. Some said she'd been recruited from a NATO reconnaissance program. Others whispered she'd been pulled from a classified mission that never officially existed. But everyone agreed on one thing. When she was watching, no one died. It wasn't always that way. Before the war, she'd been a competitive markswoman from Vermont. Quiet. Analytical. Always more interested in win charts than trophies. She joined the army after her father, a Ranger sniper, was killed on deployment. His last letter to her read, "Don't shoot to kill. Shoot to protect. And when you can't protect, make sure the next one can." She never forgot that line. By her 3rd tour, Aria had stopped counting her confirmed hits. Not out of pride, out of guilt. Each number was a reminder of how many times she'd succeeded at something she wished she'd never had to do. Her spotter used to joke that she wasn't human, that her pulse didn't rise, her breathing didn't change. He wasn't entirely wrong. The truth was, she'd trained herself to disappear. When others sought cover, she sought stillness. When bullets snapped overhead, she listened, not for danger, but for rhythm. Because rhythm was predictable. And predictable meant survivable. The mission that made her a legend began on a Wednesday. No one would remember. A joint supply convoy, mostly logistics personnel, was scheduled to move through the Al-Qadir corridor. It was supposed to be safe. But at 14:07 hours, the lead truck exploded. Insurgents had turned the ridgeline into a shooting gallery. 3 sniper teams. Coordinated. Precise, rotating positions faster than the Americans could track. Within minutes, the valley was a kill zone. Command scrambled to respond. Drones couldn't get a lock. Sandstorms cut the signal. Mortar teams were blind. The only one close enough to intervene was a small Overwatch unit stationed 10 clicks west, Ghostline's team. "Novak, how far can you reach?" The command net crackled. Aria's reply was calm, surgical. "Farther than they think." She moved fast. Too fast for protocol. Within 30 minutes, she and Cole had climbed a ruined minaret on the edge of the city. Wind screamed through the cracks. Their rangefinder barely functioned in the dust. She lined up her scope, her breath sinking with the ticking of a broken clock somewhere inside the structure. 3 shooters, she murmured. Rotating triangle. Firing intervals every 60 seconds. Cole looked skeptical. "How do you know?" "I've done this dance before." At the 60-second mark, she fired. And then again. And again. Each shot followed the pattern, collapsing the triangle one angle at a time. By the 3rd, the valley went still. Cole lowered his scope slowly. "That's it? You're sure?" Aria exhaled, wiping dust from her cheek. "If I did it right, they'll never shoot again." 2 hours later, reconnaissance confirmed 3 enemy hides, each with a single bullet through the optic, perfectly centered. Aria's precision wasn't luck. It was memory. Those shooters had copied tactics from a group she'd once studied. Snipers who'd nearly killed her unit years before in Syria. She'd memorized their pattern, and when they resurfaced, She finished what they'd started. But that wasn't the end of the story. Weeks later, while preparing for another mission, Aria received a sealed envelope marked, "For eyes only." Inside were 3 photos, grainy satellite stills of the valley after the fight. Each enemy hide had been reoccupied. Same triangle, same coordinates. But this time, there was something new. Spray painted on the crumbling wall behind one of the positions was a single word in English: Ghost. Cole looked at the image and laughed nervously. "They're hunting you." Aria didn't smile. "They'll have to find me first." For the next 6 weeks, it became a duel. Every night, a shot fired from the valley. Every night, Aria answered it. One flash for one echo. No one saw them, but everyone felt the tension. The unit started calling it the Shadow War. Then, one dawn, the shots stopped. No report, no echo, nothing. When a recon team finally reached the ridge, they found a sniper rifle propped upright in the sand. No body, no prints. Just a single bullet resting in the chamber and a small brass tag tied to the trigger guard. Stamped on it, for Ghostline. Aria said nothing when she saw it. She just took the tag, slipped it into her pocket, and walked away. Months later, when her deployment ended, she didn't go home right away. She stayed for debriefs, retraining younger marksmen, rewriting engagement protocols. Her only rule: you're not hunters, you're guardians. If your enemy doesn't know you exist, that means you did your job right. One trainee asked, "Ma'am, how do you deal with the silence?" Aria smiled faintly. "You don't. You learn to speak it." When she finally rotated home, there was no ceremony, no press. Her record was sealed, her rifle locked away. But on the firing range of an undisclosed base, a plaque still hangs. In memory of the sniper who was never seen, but whose silence saved more lives than any noise could. And beneath it, her call sign: GHOSTLINE.